So everyone, I want to tell you, thank you so much for your patience. I appreciate everyone that has joined us on today for today's session. Today, let's talk the image of gay. I have my wonderful panelists that are going to introduce themselves. They're going to chop it up with you as well as with I. We're going to keep this interactions. I'm going to keep my eyes on those comments. You keep them coming in. I ask in advance that you please like, please love, and please share as we shall go forth. At this time, I'm going to play a little music to give you time to like, to love, to share, to comment. You know what I mean? Keep it real as we enjoy Troubled Waters. Let's get it. You can warn. Hey, I told you once. Don't just think on life. Don't care what's wrong or gonna build you up and knock you off your feet. Bring you to your knees. You can know I've been there before. Was trying in the sea. Nobody can call me. I want you to know. Been there before. I found no way for me. Come on, please like, please love, please share. Join us. Come on, go with me. Yeah, listen, we're here. Thank you for joining us on today as we hold this discussion that's necessary, that's needed, the image of gay, right? So without further ado, what I like to do is present to you all my panel. I'm going to introduce them by name, and as I speak their name, I'm going to ask them to tell you a little bit about who they are and why they accepted the invitation to be on this panel. And I'm going to start with Martavius Patton, AKA Sam Priest.
Hello, everyone. My name is Martavius Patton. I am from Charlotte, North Carolina. I definitely went to school. My undergrad was in music performance, and my master's was in environmental health and safety. My big dream is to be a music. I would like to make music, write music. I do a lot of stuff. I'm an actor as well, but When he reached out to me and told me about the panel, I was like, yeah, I'm interested. I'm the type of person, I'm not ashamed of my lifestyle. I'm not ashamed of a lot of things. So why not take that comfortability and present it to everybody else and try to create a safe space to let people know, like, it's okay to be gay. It's okay to live a certain way. It's okay to not judge other people based off of things that you may not agree with. But that's me. I'm here.
All right, thank you so much, Sam Priest. I appreciate that. The next person we have joining us is Mr. Victor Carrington. Please tell the people a little about you and why you decided to be on this panel.
I'm author Victor Carrington of the best-selling memoir, Just When You Thought You Knew Me. I decided to join this panel because with other interviews and podcasts that I've done, I think it's important, as Martavia stated, that we have a position to state our place out here, as well as to let people know that we're not out here to hurt anybody. We're just living our authentic lives. I was born in Nuremberg, Germany, grew up in New York, Philadelphia, and Virginia. I was in North Carolina for 10 years prior to moving to Dallas, which I've been here for 6 years now.
Thank you very much, Vic. We appreciate you for joining us. Next, we're going to move on over to my sister, who's designed for destiny. Natasha, tell the people why you decided to accept the invitation.
Good day, everybody. I accepted the invitation because this is rare and different for me. So I'm coming beyond the box. And I believe this is the time and the hour to for people to hear from people that they usually don't hear from about their perspectives and things of nature. So I feel led to come on today to be a part of this great panel. And so that's why I'm here. I am originally from Detroit, Michigan. I live here in Charlotte. I've been here since '09. I am a certified life coach, as well as a financial coach and a pastor, and also the host of a podcast show called The Journey for You.
Yes, so very proud of you. Now we're going to move on to our last guest, but certainly a guest nonetheless. I'm excited to have her here with us. Elise, will you please tell the people why you decided to join this panel and what you do?
Hey, y'all, absolutely. I'm Elise Salisbury, pastor here at Memphis, Tennessee of Agape Affirming Ministries. It is an affirming and inclusive ministry. We welcome all people, and our motto scripture is John 3:16, where we major in whosoever. I'm also deputy director of an amazing organization that was founded by CEO Cherie Scott, called Sister Reach. It's a reproductive justice organization also here in Tennessee that we are celebrating our 9-year anniversary on. I'm an author, a life coach. I love all things LGBT. I'm a mama. Yeah, my son is 19, preparing to go back to school, back to Lane College. Y'all pray his strength. But that is who I am. And I accepted this invitation because I wanted to represent a group of masculine of center presenting women and gender nonconforming folks, also transgender men who rarely get a voice, right, in this type of conversation. And I'm raw, right? I say what's on my mind. I say what needs to be said. And so I am here. And thank you again for the invitation.
No problem. Now listen, my play on words, you know, Whitney Houston would say, I'm every, for the ladies, okay? Woman. For the gent, I'm every man, you know what I'm saying? It's all in me. So we have an array and we're pretty excited. I'm stoked that you all are here with me on this journey. So having said that, let's just get right into it. To my audience, to every other guest, to every other host, our viewers, right? Our panelists. Again, I'm going to be looking in the feedback in the comment sections on Facebook Live. You never know when I might snatch up something that you said or snatch up a question that you have for our panelists and put them right on the spot based off of what it is that you want to know or that you might want some clarity, right? As for me, I'm Ray, your host, your boy. This is just how I do what I do, a black bearded man. Black bearded gay. I won't leave it out for those that give me that look. because I am secure in who I am. Having said that, today's topic, the panel, the image of gay. Given the topic for today, I wanted to address two terms, right, in that topic in particular, which focuses on this panel. And what I want to know from each of you at this time is, how would you define the word image in your own working definition? The word image. Don't give me Webster. I want to know, don't give me Merriam. You know, I want to know from you, the individual, when you think about that word image, what comes to mind? I'm gonna start with my sister, Natasha. What comes to mind when you hear the word image?
Well, image is, well, in the word image is I'm. So what it is being reflected is you. And I see more of a, when I think of the word image, of course, a mirror of who you are and what you represent. So all that you do is a mirror image of what it is that you believe, even about yourself, and things that are all around you, because whatever's in your heart is going to come out eventually. And so it's what is in your heart to do that comes out of you and becomes a mirror image. And it's, I'm this, it's me that's reflecting what's in my heart.
Okay, so image for you, if I had to say, it's about you, the individual, right? It's a personal thing. Sam Priest, same question. Image, what does that word mean to you?
So, of course, you basically hit it on the nail on the head. But for me, just digging a little deeper, I would go as far as your personality. Like, people always automatically say, well, you look like this, so this is your image. But what about how you carry yourself? That also is a part of your image. Are you kind to people? Are you aggressive? Are you ready to shoot everybody? Or, you know, that's a part of your image. That's who you are. So for me, for example, I take pride in my personality because I believe that is a huge part of my image. That's a part of who I am as a person. People are attracted to that. People are attracted to how I carry myself. And that's something that I take pride in. So that's a part of my image. So yeah, boom.
Thank you, Boom Cat. You know, thank you. Now I'm going to go over here to my sister, Elise. Image. What is image?
Just to piggyback off of what's already been said, I think image is the spirit that we present ourselves in. It's the portrait that we paint to people, our character, our integrity. I also think about the image of God, which is all things about us that are innately good. And so that's what I think image is. Okay.
Yes, innately good. I like the positive spin that you put on that. So now we're going to pose this question to you as well, Vic. When you hear the word image, what is that for you?
Well, in agreement with everything everyone has already spoken, but I look at image, not only what other people perceive of me, is what I perceive of myself. You know, the self-love, self-reflection, what I put on and how I present that to anyone that comes into my presence. Because the interesting thing is that cliche, you have one time to make a first impression, that is real. And the idea of what you put out there is going to be talked about regardless. So you want to put out that best image. So what Sam Priest said, you know, how you carry yourself, how you talk, you know, if you are a gangbanger or whatever, what you do from the inside will come out. And so when you think about the word image, it's about not really a shallow type thing, but it's about what you want to present to people because you want to be accepted, whether you say you don't or not, you want to be accepted. So what you put out there is very important. So that total package is what you give.
Okay, and I'm gonna stay right here with you, and then I'm gonna work my way on the outside again. So with that being said, embracing the package of who you are, it almost sounds like everybody's speaking of a brand, if you will. So with that terminology, right, how do you define gay? What
Ooh.
is gay?
You know, it took me a long time. I'm 48, and I would say it took me until about 6.5 years ago to actually love myself, to embrace who I was, because I hated it. Because at 18, I was told I was gay, but I knew something was off at 5, but I didn't know what it was or how to identify it. And as you know, growing up in Halifax County, you didn't have the education or the people with the education to help you deal with that. So, how do you define gay? Is there a real definition of gay? You know, of course, they're going to say homo, same, whatever, but I really don't have a strong definition of gay. I just think if a person is gay, the first thing they have to do is love themselves. They have to build up that wall to combat the negativity that's going to come, not will possibly come, but definitely going to come from family, friends, whatever. And as we, with this today's administration, we know that is now going to come on your job where you could get penalized for being gay or possibly. So the image of gay is, I would say, acceptance of yourself and loving yourself.
Okay. Sister, Elise, gay. What is your working definition of gay?
I would say gay is the ability to be that person, whatever that quote unquote that is, right? To be different. It is the ability to be just to be. And so I'd also say it's the ability to be the thing that society, the thing or the person that society rejects, right? Gay is strong, gay is strength, gay is amazing, gay is creative. And so gay is, I agree with what was said, gay is not necessarily a person, gay is a personality. And so, yeah, that's what I would define gay as.
All right, thank you so much. Sam Priest, I know I saw your finger. You wanted to have a excuse me moment. So go ahead, right, with this excuse me and tell me how do you define gay?
Okay, so when you say personality, I guess in my mind, I don't so much think of it as a personality. I think it's just, that's a part of who I am. And I was blessed to have parents that were loving, and they told me like, hey, no matter, and mind you, they were preachers. They said, listen, how can I consider myself to love God if I can't love someone through something that I may not agree with? So they taught me the definition of love. So that love bled into who I am as a person, which taught me how to love myself. Of course, I went through trials and tribulations and I had to learn those things on my own. But my definition of gay is this more so like, hey, I guess in my mind, I don't technically think differently, that I'm different from anyone else or that it's a different brand, if that makes sense. It's just more so a part of who I am. It's a characteristic. No, I wouldn't even say characteristic, because this is, I guess that's a good question, because when you think about it, for someone who just normally wakes up and feels normal every day, I wouldn't put it in a different category. I wouldn't feel different from anybody else because I wake up to this life every day. So I'm used to it, if that makes sense.
Okay. Now, I'm coming back to you. I'm coming to you. But Tasha, because I said I wanted to give everybody a free go at this. Gay, what is it?
To me, it's a part of me. It's not all of me. It's just a part of me. Because it doesn't define my whole life. I guess because I don't get caught. Me personally, I don't get caught up in a whole bunch of different labels and things of that nature. But for me, I believe it's just being authentic, being your authentic self, regardless of who has to say what. It doesn't matter. As long as you accept who you are, that's what matters at the end of the day.
Okay. All right. Now, Victor, right before I come to you, because I saw your finger in that excuse me session, I'm going to bring you back. But before I bring you back, what you said, Sam Priest, had me thinking. You said it's not necessarily a separation of who you are, right? And then you spoke to it being normal. If it was that normal, do you think it would be so much criticism?
I mean, if you think about it, Black people are criticized for being Black, but we're still normal. If you think about it, Christians were criticized for being Christians, but they were still normal. Like, why can't I put this same thing in the same category as everything else and still consider it normal? We're trying to normalize being
But
Black.
we put these things in the same category. And when we put these things in the same category, then we start to hear people say, oh, you want to be straight, or you want to be heteronorm, or you want to be this, or you want to be that. But then we say that we are separated and set apart from the other.
With responsibility of not just ourselves, but the people who are supposed to be open-minded, who are supposed to be growing and evolving, isn't that a responsibility of everyone to stop categorizing everything into one bubble and actually just being okay with someone living their life the way that they choose to live it?
Okay, I understand your point. Vic, come on in.
So I hear you, Sam Priest, and I think there was a gift that you have to have your parents and your family embrace you the way that we didn't all have that. Both of my parents said that AIDS is my destiny. And my mom, for that and other reasons, do not have a relationship. My dad hates me because of this. So I understand how you said that we need to stop categorizing things, but since the beginning of time, we've always been categorized. And I don't think that's ever going to go away. Not to say that it's right or that it's wrong, but I went through the whole therapy process with two psychiatrists and 3 psychologists. They all kind of laughed me out of their office. What are you doing here? You're gay. It is what it is. You can't change it. I'm looking for a pill or something to help me change it, because I knew I had upset everybody else by being who I was. At 5, I was looking at my daddy's friends in certain ways and didn't know what it was. Now I do. Didn't understand. No one taught me this. No one trained me. I wasn't raped or molested. So we're always going to be looked at as abnormal, although they have removed it from the medical dictionary as being abnormal. That is why the sex change came into play. However, to say that we should all stop categorizing, I agree, but it's just not going to happen.
But can I talk? So one, I want to say, like, I'm really, really sorry that that wasn't your story in regards to, like, with your family, because I've talked to so many people who were not blessed to have what I had. So me, I can definitely empathize and I can definitely understand and love on people, because at the end of the day, we still are responsible for the future. And that stuff happened in the past. So if we want a better future for the people who are coming after us, then yes, we have to be responsible for breaking those generational curses, or that mentality that a lot of people have been brought up. Because if we think about it, this is stuff that's been installed in everyone's brains over the years, that gay is wrong, or gay is this, or gay is separate, gay is not the same. So when we have the ability to change the direction and the flow of it, then we cannot become complacent with the fact that, oh, well, this is how it was and it won't change. It can change. It may not happen overnight, but if I still walk through life with the mentality that eventually this is going to change, then eventually I'm putting my faith in action, and I'm putting my faith at work, and I'm challenging life within itself. That's just my point of view in regards.
And I hear that, but let me tell you why I know it's not going to change. Mm-hmm. And this may upset a whole lot of people, so I'm just going to put a disclaimer out there. It is what it is. The Black church. That is why it's not going to change.
I muted him for a moment. I muted you just for a second, Martavius, because I knew you was going to go there. But I want to get these ladies also involved in that, because when you hear what he's saying, right, and he can certainly throw your finger up and let me know if I'm wrong, but when I hear him speaking, it seems as if it's almost saying these identifiers, right, are going to be gone or should be gone. Is identifiers, are those not necessary, or are they necessary? Yes, I see you, Elise. Should identifiers be gone?
I think they should be gone. I think in a perfect world, no labels would be amazing. But as was stated earlier, because of the history, right, of the world, as far as we know, the creation of the world, in the beginning, God created, and then the labels, right? So I don't think that the labels will ever go away. I mean, we have a census in the United States that says, hey, if you fit a certain label, we'll send a certain amount of money to your community. right? So I think in a beautiful world, in a perfect world, labels not being a thing would be amazing. But as a woman, I'm labeled, right? As a masculine of center woman, I'm labeled. Even if people can identify what that label is, I'm labeled. And so again, in a perfect world, yeah, it would be amazing in utopia, right? It would be amazing for them to not exist. But also, even as it relates to the church, I wouldn't have to say agape affirming if there was no division even in the churches, right? Even in the way that we preach. I wouldn't have to say I teach a womanist theology, right? If labels weren't a thing even in the church. So agreed, the church, I believe, has a huge responsibility in helping dismantle how people who wear these labels exist in the world and how we're treated. But yeah, labels are going to always be a thing. And the sad part about it is most of the time, us who are gay, right, and are labeled with that person, that personality that people don't like, are pushed to the periphery. So yeah, the labels exist for a reason, for many reasons, but also, like I said, I don't think they're going anywhere anytime, not in our lifetime. I want to be clear on that, not in our lifetime.
And thank you. And to you, Tasha, certainly you can piggyback off of, what she's saying or the question that I posed, but when and is it necessary for the gay people, the LGBT community, when do they stop placing blame on the church? Is there a set time that they shouldn't say, well, this is what the church did, this is what the church said? When do the people stop saying, oh, okay, my pastor's preached this, or, oh, this affirming ministry has said that? When is the time to come where you stop blaming the church?
It's really up to us. We have to there's a healing that needs to take place overall. Total healing has to take place within inside of us before we start taking on a different mindset. And it's really up to us if we're going to even live, when we're talking about the labels, if we're going to live up to those labels, because a lot of this stuff that has been spoken over our lives, we start living out the very thing that people say about us. And we have to be very careful not to take on and accept everything that everybody has placed on us.
Now, while let me be rude, excuse me a moment, and say it's easy when we hear that coming from adults, right? But when you are a child, as Victor acknowledged, at 5 years old, he knew he was different, right? When he is a child, when does this transition take place? Because again, as a child, we can speak about the adult mentality, but how do you say that to a child?
Now that is a very good question. As a child, I mean, you're still developing, you're still growing. It's all about the environment and what you're in. And that, I think what has to happen is the people of today need to be better educated or have a better understanding before, they start, because a lot of adults will start putting what they want for the child on the child, and not really allowing that child to grow and develop to be who he or she should be. And I believe it's all about how we, I'm not a parent, but how those parent the children have a different, I guess, outlook on society and the world, or have a different outlook on humanity, period, that you cannot place your child in the box. And it has a lot to do with that and how we, I guess, even see God. I'm not going far, but it has to do with how we see God, because how we treat each other is how we treat God. And so it plays a major part in the role of how our relationship with humanity, God, earth, it all plays a part in how we build and grow up our children, or help instill the right things in our children so they can be the best person that they were created to be.
Excellent. Sam Priest. And then I see you with your excuse me finger up. Sam Priest, I see you. You look like you was about to burst at the seams when I was posing that question. So come on, feel free to share, your thoughts.
So one, you hit something on that, like you hit the nail on the head. Like these are adults pouring into kids. Kids are very moldable. They're shaped, like they look up to you. So if you use your platform to chastise them and make them feel like they are different, that pours into their everyday life. And you said, when do we stop blaming the church? We stop blaming the church as soon as the church starts taking responsibility to what they're doing to us as we grow up. Everyone is
So
not.
excuse me, having said that,
Oh,
what
no,
you said, I'm gonna give you, but yeah, excuse me, that's why I label it just like this. I'm gonna treat you just like I am a journalist would treat you, because what you were saying is that this person or whoever is the leader of that ministry, right? Whomever should be pouring into, right? What you stated at the top was that your parents accepted you. And while this is not a spiritual panel, I do want the viewers to know, because I have people from all different backgrounds. While it's not, right, your parents embraced you and accepted you. Did they tell you weren't gonna die and go to hell?
So let me go ahead and break this down.
Wait, give me a yes or no. Did your parents?
Before I allow you to have this yes or no, let me break this down. So
I want you to understand though, before you do, there is a difference in someone telling me I love you because you are my parent. I mean, you are my child. You are my child. I birthed you. So no matter what, whether or not I agree or I disagree with it, I love you. But then there's a total different perception. There's a total different type of love language that comes along when they say, I'm a preacher, I'm your teacher, you are my son, but you're gonna die and go to hell.
So my parents, again, we were raised in love. So when children were getting kicked out for being gay out of their own home, my parents took them in and they loved on them. That was their ministry. They said, I'm not going to let any soul out of my sight and not love on them. I don't care if you're gay, I don't care if you're straight. That's my ministry. I will love on, But
I'm not talking about the fact that they embrace them.
I'm getting to my point. You asked the question, so allow me to build to it. So I just had a conversation with my dad about the same thing. And he said, I may not always agree with what it is, but I do not feel that you're going to hell because you are gay.
Do you feel like your dad told you that because you are openly gay? Because, and I asked you, wait a minute, I asked you that question because it's easier, it appears, let me say it that way. There is a perception that's viewed through the lenses of those people that are in ministry that had been preaching a doctrine that says you are going to hell until it happens in your own family. And when it happens when it's your son and or your daughter, then the story, there's a paradigm shift, that word paradigm that seems to go on in the Black church for the most. There is a paradigm shift that seems to take place and says, oh my God, I can't preach hell to somebody else now, and I have to embrace all, because guess what? This is now affecting my bloodline directly.
So I was last to come out. These people were coming to my family before I even came out to my parents. They learned through them because they started to love on them. And they said, if everyone else is pushing them out, who is there to love on them? Again, I was raised in love. So that's the energy that I'm always push out. And do I feel that that's everyone's story? No, but I feel that eventually that love can pour out into other people. So I've watched, and I was able to watch my parents literally get up out of service, walk out because they had a problem with the lady on the drums. She had pants on, or they had a problem with this because this singer had a little flimsy wrist. My mom and my dad grabbed those kids and they left, never to come back. And my mom and dad, we had church in the house because we didn't have a safe space. They took responsibility. They walked away, but they loved on you, and they installed and said, hey, sin is sin. There's no sin greater than the other sin, but I do not believe that you're going to go to hell because you choose to love somebody else.
Having said that, then I'm up. Great, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I know, again, I tell to you and to the viewers, it's some uncomfortable dialogue, it's an uncomfortable exchange, but hey, listen, it's real. What I do out of love, and so that we can gain some understanding and help some other people. Elise, I saw you as you were there. You know,
oh my God.
I want to know, like, what's the deal? You know, it's always a paradigm shift when it hits your house. But before that, you know what I'm saying? Victor couldn't go to this person over here, and I'm throwing this church out, if you will, just generally, hypothetically, no church in particular. I couldn't go over here to the First Baptist Southern Church. I couldn't go over here to Peaches and Cream Baptist Church over here because y'all preaching hell down to me. I couldn't run over here to X, Y, and or Z. And while I do respect Sam Priest's posture, right, of his family being embracive and accepting, what he also said is that his parents told him that it's sin.
Right.
Which
Right. Now that, you know, all of our experiences are different, right? I mean, at the same time, the priest, imagine being a little girl about 5 years old that knows that your first attraction was to girls sitting across the table in kindergarten. But also imagine being that child and sitting on a pew in a holiness church and a person getting up and gay this and abomination and blah, 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 and trying to grow up, right, and be who I am in that environment. Like, I sat at the table as a senior in high school, and my mother, she found out I was going to these meetings for gay teens or gay youth or youth that were questioning. You didn't know who you were. You just there, you're trying to figure out what's going on with you, right? So I'm at this meeting, and my mother found out that I was going. At that point, she made me meet with my dad because my dad didn't live with us, right? So she called a meeting. I came in from a softball game and literally dropped my bags on the floor because my mom and dad were sitting at the table, and I knew based on their posture, this was a conversation I was getting ready to have. And so coming out to both of my parents, my dad was like, well, do you think that's who you are? I was like, I know it. I'm a senior in high school. And so I looked at my mom because my mother was the one that had us members of this holiness church. And her response was basically no, like no. And she had that posture at the time because that's how we were indoctrinated. And I think that's the difference here. Indoctrination says sin is sin. Sin is sin. Who I am, right, is not a sin. Who I am is not a sin. Being gay is not a sin. Gay sex is not a sin. Illicit sex in any form is the sin. My relationship, right, is not a sin. And so that language causes so much harm to us when we have been indoctrinated through these even Pentecostal apostolic churches that says that we don't belong, right? And so now we have to come along and say, okay, so let us teach you God, right? Let us teach you Jesus. Let us teach you this Bible for those who believe, right? In a safe environment, in an affirming way, the way that it was always meant to teach. And so, yeah, again, like you said quite a bit that I was like, oh, but that sin is sin thing, it always like hits that trigger button because who I am, like the years that it took me. Okay, let me say this too. I've been married to a man. I have a child for trying to fix my life and do what the church said I should do and be who the church said I should be. And so it took me years to do what I call reconciling my sexuality or my orientation with my spirituality, just so I don't blow my brains out, right? So I know at this point in my life that who I am is not a sin. What I do in terms of me loving somebody of the same gender or gender non-conforming person, right? Whoever that person is, I love. Love has no gender. Love is not sin because love is who God is. And so, yeah, that term, darling, that sin, I was like, whoa, wait, that hurt. Okay, but yeah, that's my answer to that. That's my.
I got you. And Priest, I see your finger, but give me one moment. Victor,
I just want to apologize for that.
I'm gonna come back to you, Victor.
Because I never want to hurt nobody's feelings at all.
You did. Oh, let me be clear. Everybody on here knows that this is a panel. This is what we do. This is engaging. This is not coming. I'm not coming for anybody's throat. Nobody here is throat is being cut. Everybody on here is a leader. I do want, and this is for the viewers also. Please know, again, I said it at the top and I'll keep reminding us, we're all here, we're all level-headed, we're all successful in our own rights. Everybody understands and respects each other's opinions. So I thank you for voicing and giving, you're speaking truth to what it is that you identify with and what it is that you go with. And the purpose of me even having this platform is that we begin to embrace and respect and honor and love everybody's posture, even if we don't agree. It's okay that we all don't agree. It's what makes us unique, right? We don't all think alike. We don't all have the same experiences. So I appreciate your experience and I appreciate what you brought to the table. But Vic, having heard what he said and having heard what Elise said, what do you think, help us understand what it was like for you, right? As you stated, you had to deal with that. He stopped talking to you. What was that like?
So not having a relationship with my dad growing up, when my parents split when I was 6 years old, I thought I hated him. So I didn't have a relationship with him. I chose not to have a relationship with him until I was about 30. And we were cool until he met one of my gay friends. I was in the hospital and he came to the hospital because I was rushed with some back issues, and he rushed down and met two of my gay friends. And they spoke literally there 20 seconds, and it shook him to his core that he just backed up. And we haven't spoken since. This was in 2009. I didn't know what it was until my aunt in Philadelphia told me that's what it was. But be that as it may, okay, whatever. But in his mind, he had told me, you're my son, I love you. As long as you're not doing anything to disrespect the Carrington name, I'm good. My mom, the same way. I love you, you my son. But every chance she got, it was that I had 3 girls and a son, not 4 girls. And you gonna die of AIDS, letting them niggas do blah, 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 blah to you, you know? So I got that. Going back to the comment about the church, the Black church is never going to accept this, never. The Black community as a collective, and I say a collective, is never going to accept this because they feel like it is a choice for us to do this and to be this way, that we have all power to stop our desires and of course our actions and whatever. And I explained to someone, our actions, yes, we have control over. I can't control who I like. I can't control who I'm attracted to. It is what it is. I read a story this week on Facebook where this girl, Black girl, said that my brother has come out the closet. I love him so much, but now I got to watch him around my son. That's the mentality of Black people, collectively. That's their mentality. And I'm thinking, how many gay pedophilia stories do we see versus straight pedophilia stories? But see, in the Black community, we are easy to brush over the Uncle Chester's behavior for molesting Letitia over here and Lisa over here. We can do that. Let him come to the cookout and the family reunion and get his plates and whatever. We can brush over that. But if you're gay, you're damn to hell. The church is the same way. I joined the church years and years ago. Very large amount of gay men. They were persuaded to get married. So you getting married is supposed to covet your behavior. So you're like trying to force a screw into a tic-tac hole. And it just doesn't work. So these men go get married, bring children into the place to some of the young country girl that don't know any better. And you bring children, but then on the side, you still creeping, which is compounding the situation. So the problem that I have with this whole thing, with the church and this and what have you, is that, yeah, they say sin is sin, all sin, none is equal or greater. But yet, when it comes to homosexuality and same gender loving, they pounce on that so strong. So as a Black church and a Black gay community collective, it's never going to be accepted, no matter how much we strive. They criticize Barack Obama because he introduced the marriage bill for us. And you see Trump trying to take it away. Thankfully, we got some good people that saying no, but that's just how they see us. They think we are sick, as they call it.
So with that being said, there are 2 things that I want to ask you, and I'm going to move it on to you as well as to Natasha. One of the things you said is how compact or really tight, if you will, it is in the Black community. And through my eyes, my own opinion, I do tend to agree with you. But as a Facebook comment came across, it says it's in the white community as well. So what I want to know from you, Victor, is do you feel like the white community is more accepting, or let me change that. Do you feel like other ethnic communities, other racial background, those communities are more accepting of the LGBTQ plus community than that of the Black community?
I can only speak from my experiences, and I would say that yes, you do have some white people that don't, but as a collective, they are more embracing than Black people. I found in the Black community, that Black people are more accepting of gay women than gay men. And I've asked this question, and this lady said, because y'all supposed to be the head, y'all kings. How y'all gonna be a king and you out here laying with another man? So as a collective, Black people do get it more than white people. And as far as other ethnicities, I think because of their religious cultures, being here in Texas, I do see that there's a lot of Latino and Mexican gays. I don't know how the family feels about them. But from what I've seen with white, very few do you hear a story of them being kicked out. How many white houses have you seen in the form of posts? You don't hear about white houses. You hear about the Black ones, because it's the Black ones, the families of the Black ones that's kicking them out and putting that bad experience on them.
Okay, and with that being said, a viewer, LaDawn, she would advise also, she said yes, she agreed. There are other communities, that do. However, she do agree with the fact that the Black community seems to have the largest problem. And so I want to move from that and shift to the thing that Victor talked about to you, Natasha. Gay. Is it a choice? Did you choose it?
Well, I did not choose it. Who would want to choose something so, rigorous? I mean, having to deal with people stoning you and all. I mean, like, who would say, hey, stone me, ridicule me, say what you want about me, reject me? Who would want that? I don't think anybody would want that. And for me, I mean, I didn't have any, I hadn't had like any stories of molestation or anything like that. That wasn't my story. I mean, I knew who I was at a very young age, when I was younger. And for me, it's not a choice. Now, some people want to try. I wouldn't even say that they are, you know what I'm saying? Even if they wanted to try, because eventually it'll come out like, hey, well, maybe this is not for me. But it's definitely not something to try. It's just, it's who I am.
Well, you said that, which is interesting, because I had wrote down that people, is gay the new straight, right? It's something they want to try. And that brings into the mindset, right, of when you do hear people, heterosexuals, AKA straight people, right? And they say, oh, well, this is your choice. You chose to do this. You tried it. You wanted to see what it feels like. You wanted to see what it looks like. How do you speak to that? Because I've heard someone say, oh, well, I chose this. Or I've heard more women, more so than men, say, I got tired of dealing with this fool over here. And because I got tired of dealing with this fool over here, I decided to go out with a woman. So how is it that these people that are heterosexuals, how is it that they are wrong in their mentality?
I wouldn't say they are all wrong, but maybe there's something internally that's going on with them, that they have an internal conflict, or something's happening, that they really haven't truly accepted themselves. And so they're giving themselves to all these different things just to try to see what fits. I think, once again, it's not something to really just try, because who wants to try and put themselves through all of this? And you really have to have thick skin to go through something like this. And I wouldn't just, it's not like me getting on a bike and wanting to ride. No, it's about as real as me being here, being created, being in the earth, purpose. This is who I am. Accept it or not, I'm okay with it.
Okay, Sam Priest, I saw your finger, but in an effort to keep it collective, Elise, same thing, same question to you. One of the things, and before I give you that, Razak, and I might be saying his name incorrectly, to go back, he did have a thought, and he said, no, other ethnic groups are not more embracing in that regard, and it all goes back to Christianity and the church, right? So with that coupled into people want to try a bit here, people want to try a bit there, people just want to do the, is it the sense that people just want to feel like they belong? Or again, is gay the new straight, Elise?
I think it's what Matthew 19 was talking about when it was talking about eunuchs, right? Some eunuchs are born that way. Some eunuchs choose that way. Some eunuchs are made that way, right? I wasn't forced to be gay, right? Is what Rev was saying earlier. I wasn't. I'm not here by molestation or sexual abuse. I'm not here by that, even though those are some people's experiences in our communities, right? I have friends who will say also, I choose this because they were abused as a child and their sexuality is fluid. Overall, right? I think sexuality is fluid. I think, nobody will choose this, right? Nobody in their right mind would choose this. We don't choose this. We know our experiences. Even while at the same time, there will be heterosexual people who can understand it, who will try and put that on us to say, oh, you chose that way or your lifestyle. This is not a lifestyle. This is not a lifestyle of the rich and famous, right? It's not a lifestyle. It's who I am. It's me as a heterosexual, you as a heterosexual person, me as a lesbian woman who went that route because people tried to say we choose this way. But then 41 years old, I ain't choose this.
Okay, well, I got a question because you hit something on the head, right? And it triggered. And for those that are saying, okay, let her answer, the theme of this is excuse me for a reason, because when you say something and it hits right then, you can always go back and expound, and please do. But when you said the confessions that you have heard are from people that say, oh, I've been molested as a child. Oh, I've been raped as a child. Oh, I've been some of this and oh, I've been some of that. Let me ask you a question. I want to use this as a hypothetical. Like, what's a food that you don't like to eat?
Onions, raw onions.
Raw onions. Yeah. Oh my. Yeah, that's a bit much. Now, because you don't like to eat raw onions, what is it that I can do to you to make you eat that onion?
You can cook it in the food without me knowing you've cooked it in the food to make me eat it.
Okay, but outside of that, knowing that you don't like a raw onion, I bring you this onion. Are you going to eat this onion?
No.
You are not going to eat this onion. Right, and I think Victor already knows where I'm getting ready to go, which is okay. Because I want to open up that dialogue. You're not going to eat anything that is not appealing to you. So when someone says, I have been molested, I have been raped, I have been whether it's male on man or woman on woman, because it does exist. Women rape men all the same as men rape women, women rape women. Do you continuously go back to something that you do not like?
Well, here's the thing. Some of the people that I know who will say they chose this, right? Even if it wasn't a like situation, that were molested as kids, they were never given a choice to like it or not like it, right? Somebody forced themselves on them. Even if it was a girl forcing herself on a girl or a boy forcing himself on a boy, do I even have the option to like it or not when what is the word?
Well, in that situation,
is normalized to me. If I'm constantly
you're speaking about in that situation. I'm speaking about beyond the situation. Right. You said the way that somebody could get you to eat an onion is if they cooked it and you didn't know about it. If you are raped, it is something that is not your choice. But beyond the fact that there is a choice, beyond that, you don't like onions. Do you keep onions? You don't, as you've matured, of course, but do you keep going back? As a man that's been raped, you said I've been raped, you blame being raped on, oh, I'm gay because I was raped. I'm gay because I was molested. Well, listen, let's be real. Do Did you try a woman to know that you wouldn't like a woman?
Well, they given the option to try one.
A man?
They weren't given the option. So, some people, like we are different. What we can't do, in my opinion, is discredit people's experiences, right? I didn't like heterosexual sex. And that's not a dig on the guys, right? It wasn't a dig on them. I've only been with 2 men in my life, and I didn't like it. But I kept doing it, right? Because the church told me I had to. Even when I didn't want to have sex, the church said, your body is not your own. So we're indoctrinated to do things that we don't agree with. We're given no other choices, right? In the holiness church that says, you know, woman, submit to your husband, that includes your body. If it's in the middle of the night and that man wants sex, even if you don't feel like it, you could be feeling horrible in your body, but when he turn over, you better turn over too, right? So we cannot discredit the indoctrination that happens, even the indoctrination of being heterosexual by a society that attempts to push that on people who don't like it. So I'm suggesting that every experience is different, and I don't discount any, because there are people every day trying to discount my experience, and they weren't there the moment I was getting ready to blow my brains out, because I felt like I couldn't go on and live this life that people were attempting to force me to continue to live. I could not do it, right? And so some people can justify it and say, oh, if it ain't what you like, then you wouldn't do it. But the truth of the matter is, there is a seed planted through rape and molestation. When that happens, it takes away people's ability to choose. No, I wouldn't choose to eat an onion. But if you force an onion on me with a pistol to my head in the name of rape or molestation or incest, I'm probably gonna start eating that onion, because it has become normalized. So that's normalization of heterosexual, forcing people to be a thing that they're not.
Okay.
Ray,
Victor, I was getting ready to come to you because I saw your finger. I'm
there's
good.
a component that I think we're not catching here, and I agree with Elise that there are some people that had traumatic experiences that this is their new normal, because there are known cases that something psychologically trips when someone is raped, and this is what they do. For example, a woman, when she's raped by a man, you would think she's not going to go back to him because a man touching her disgusts her. But in some cases, there have been some situations where they become very promiscuous and start doing things because that's what their brain, something triggered in them. But I want to go back to the whole choice comment, and I can speak from this because, as I put it in my book, I've been to prison due to what my mother taught me how to do. And I've seen men, because there are some people, even my publicist, she says, I believe any man who gets incarcerated will indulge in same-sex activity. I totally disagree with that, because I've seen it. Just because you are in that environment doesn't mean that's what you're going to do. You have to be into it. If you've never been forced into it, as Elise said, you have to want it. You have to desire it. And if it's not you, it's just not you. So I don't think that it's going to be one of those situations for every case. Every case is different. So you have to want it in order for you to do it, because I've always believed, and this is just my personal opinion, if you're not attracted to a man and you are a man, how are you going to get sexually aroused by him to even go there if you're not? You know what I'm saying? It's one of those situations where if it's not you, it's just not you.
So to that point, if I don't like a potato, I'm not going to eat a potato, right? Which is right. Exactly what you said, which was speaking to me beyond something that's forced. Again, I do get the whole psychological point, but when there is a repeated posture of I want this man or I want this woman, when and how do you break that? And I'm gonna ask you, Sam Priest, because I noticed, you sit kind of quiet this time, but even with that, what is your thoughts on that?
So the reason why I was sitting quiet, so I did tell my blessing with my parents, but that was my covering. They protected me as best as they could from the outside world. which was my family, which were the preachers who were also my family, who did tell me and chastise me for things that I was not aware was abnormal to them. But I knew I was gay from a little boy. When I kissed my first little boy, I probably was like 4. You know, I knew in my mind, I was like, this feels right to me. I didn't feel like it was wrong. And then later on in life, that's when I had a situation that, which is okay, because I survived, but I got raped. But that still didn't make me feel like, oh, well, because I got raped, I hate women, or because I got raped, I want to be with a man. I already knew that.
Were you raped by, when you said that, and I'm gonna let you go back to it, but were you raped by a woman?
Molested by a woman, raped by a man.
Okay.
So, but it never, I didn't like it, which is weird to say, but I didn't like being touched by that woman. And and in that situation, I didn't like being touched by that man either. But what I was growing up to feel and what felt right to me was always me being with a man. And this, again, this is before I went through anything that should have been traumatic. That instead of processing the way other people will process it as being a traumatic situation, I'm a fighter. So stuff like that can't break me. I always choose happiness. I always choose joy. So I don't feel like any of those experiences bled into my decision making as an adult of me saying, oh, I love a man. I always liked men. So when people say if it's a choice or not, no, this is how I knew as soon as like I was able to process that I like something, I knew I liked this man. I knew I wanted to kiss this little boy. And I did exactly what it was that I wanted to do. I kissed that young man. I sure did, you know, but I was comfortable because that's what I felt comfortable with versus a little lady. I tried to date somebody, it just didn't work.
Listen, you know, we could always count on you for a laugh. And I want to go back, if you all would, to a comment that was made. Tish Still Covered Wall, right? When we were talking about the labels, she said, this is where labels, you know, come into play. And she asked the question, does experimenting make a person gay, or does it make a person bisexual? And I see you, Vic, but I'm gonna go with you, Tasha, first, and then Vic, I'm gonna come on to you next to give me, you know, your answers. Does experimenting make a person gay, and does it make a person bisexual? Tasha.
No, once again, I believe it's something, your desire, that's, you know, what it is that you desire to have, who it is you desire to have, makes you that way. I mean, just like, this is a bad, I think this is a good analogy, but it's like, you know, going to all you can eat buffet, you know what I'm saying? You're trying. You're trying so many different things, but you may not like, you know what I'm saying, what it is you're trying, and you may not even eat it anymore. I know this is probably wasn't a good but that's what I saw.
I'm gonna try a little bit of this. I'm gonna try a little
right.
bit of
And that doesn't mean that's where you're going to live. That's where you're going to land. Like, you know, you may try liver and like, you know what, this doesn't agree with me, so I'm not going to eat that anymore. And so if you're not in agreement with it, if it doesn't align with who you are, it doesn't align with, I guess, where you want to be in life, you got to think about all those different things. It's just not about trying anything. It's about, do you want to be with this person for the rest of your life? Is this something that you know, are you going to be able to uphold this type of way of, not I would say way of living, but are you going to be able to handle all the ridicule and all the things that come with it? Because it's not just, you know what I'm saying, it's not just trying and this and trying that. It's about you being who you are. And I think at the end of the day, you have to look at the big picture. Is this going to be really something I really want to invest in? Is this something I really want to who this is this something, is this who I really am? Pretty much.
Okay, I respect that. And I'm gonna skip the buffet and pass the buffet on over to Vic. at this time so that he can indulge in this buffet setting that we have?
Well, I'm not a buffet person, but you know, but I will say that, and this is one of the main issues I have with the Black heterosexual community. I personally do not feel if someone indulges once or two times that they're gay. I don't believe that. I think you have to, for example, go back to my prison experience. There was a white guy that came in prison, and it actually ended up being a documentary about it. He knew coming in there that he wouldn't survive. He knew that he would be made, for lack of a better term, somebody's bitch. He knew that. What he decided to do was to get with the biggest Black dude he could because he wanted protection. He knew they were going to be on him. And he became this man's cellmate, bedmate to protect himself. But then when he went home, it was back to his wife. It was a moment of survival for him. The problem that I have with the Black gay community, especially when it comes to men, you can indulge one time and you're forever gay. A woman can do it one time, or even if she did it for a while and then go to men, she's not gay anymore. I have a huge issue with that, because my thing is just, it really gets my blood boiling. I just wish people would just let people live the way that they live and be done with it. If you're not crossing over into my lane, interfering with my money, the way I walk in my life, I don't care what you do. But the Black community have a problem with gays. And I have found that a lot of times when it comes to straight men, their problem with it is because there's something within them. And I've experienced that twice in my life, where there's something in them, and being around me caused them so much discomfort because they couldn't be who they were.
I respect that. I definitely dig that. And Elise, I saw you. You know, that finger got to wiggly, wiggly, wiggly up there. And I'm glad that you did bring that point up, because there is a totally different vibe and setting that takes place that goes to the women. So Elise. Go ahead, you can expound on it.
It was stated earlier, and I wanted to respond then, but we had moved on to something else. I want to respond to the idea that people have that women have it easier than gay men. Look, I live in the South. I walk down the street and hetero men are like, this is real life, right? Just on the way that I present. Them not even knowing who I go home to, or if I go home to anybody, or who I'm screwing in the streets, right? Them not even knowing anything about me, but just the way that I look. I've been at the point of guys wanting to beat me down. You know, they walk past me right in the streets sometimes with their wives or their girlfriends or whoever, and they embrace their wives or their girlfriends. She wouldn't even make the cut, right? If it was somebody I was looking for, she wouldn't make the cut. She's with you because that y'all want each other. And so the idea also, especially in a Black church, let's talk about why Black women have to hide their gayness, right? And in a church where mostly Black males get to be themselves, because pastor know most of the time. We know, right? We know. But if they're gay, especially masculine of center women, it's an automatic no, right? We're not allowed to do anything or go anywhere because we want to usurp authority, right? Because of how we present. So let's say this, right? And hopefully, if there's one, you know, on the line, can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think the person or the people who have the privilege in the LGBT plus community are people who can be themselves. If you're a woman and you're feminine, you can get away with it, right? You can get away with
men
not judging you. Or if you're a gay man who let's just say it this way, we can't look at you and assume that you're gay. Then there's a privilege that comes with looking like you're heterosexual, if you allow me to say it that way. But as far as that's concerned, no. Women, Black women, women, like we have it just as bad as gay men.
It's
Truly.
It's interesting, really, that you did say that, because I did note that. I said, as females, I wanted to know, as females, you know, there is this perception, especially amongst men, same gender loving men, right? That there's a stereotype that you all don't take as much heat as men do, as it relates, you know, to even just identifying in general, overall,
How many
women.
masculine of center women, cisgender women, have you seen directing somebody's choir or singing in the choir?
I've seen it. I've seen it.
Right, I'm agreeing. Well, let me tell you, I'm in the South. I'm down here in the Bible Belt, and I can't think of none off the top of my head. You know, I might have seen one. I've maybe seen one or two. But if I'm going somewhere and I'm asking to be the choir director because I'm gifted or even anointed to do it, you ain't coming in my church with that, because that's gonna make my folks think a certain way about me, and I'm gonna lose money, I'm gonna lose members, and all. But you know, I'm not a choir director, so that, you know, I'm just saying I use that as an example. But yeah, we don't have it easier. Trust me, we don't.
Victor.
I think, and the reason I said that, Elise, and the reason I said that was because the response that I have gotten from people is that, well, if you were another man, you can't procreate, and that's what you were placed on this earth to do.
Mhm.
That's what they feel. But as a woman, you still can have a baby, you know, even though you may be with another woman, and this is gonna sound kind of crass, but in most reality, men love to see two women together because that's their fantasy anyway. They get a kick off the imagination of seeing two women together. But to see two men together, I don't recall, I mean, maybe one or two stories in my lifetime of women being bashed and killed for being gay. I don't recall a whole lot of national stories about that, more so than men.
And that's the thing, because that is why the group that I manage for Sister Reach, the group Boy Talk, exists, right? Because we're invisibilized. You know, we exist because you see us in the community. But as far as mainstream TV, let's talk about the one or two women who have gotten that type of exposure, you know, because of what their gifts are, and they deserve to be there, be clear. But there are also many women who are gifted and who can be put out front, and they aren't. There's very little mainstream representation of masculine of center women. There's very few pulpits who will allow a masculine center woman even grace the stage, right? You sit on the front pew with the church mothers, you know. but again, like, that is because the people, excuse me, not just the church, but people, when they don't understand something, like, they don't want anything to do with it, you know. And so that's why I say, comparing that to gay men that we know are gay in the world, like, it's much more, in my guesstimation, right, from my experience and what I've seen, is much more acceptable than it is to be a gay male than it is a black gay female.
Well, can you explain, well, before I let you do it, Elise, what I want to know is for the other guests, the other three panelists, she's using a term, and when I spoke with her, I was like, you said what? What do you call this? And if you hear her, she's calling it masculine of center. Do any of you know what masculine of center is, or what it even entails?
I'm going to tell you, I've gotten lost on all the letters, the titles, the labels. I've just gotten lost. Just be gay, be who you are. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. Yeah. Cisgender, I'm lost. I'm totally lost. I'm real ignorant to it. It's too much.
You my twin.
I have not. This is the first time. You know, I'm here to learn as well. So.
And Breeze?
Same.
Okay, so I was good. Well, not good, you know, because we all want to know what it is. But for me, when she said it, you know, I was like, what is you like? initially I wanted her to spell it because I wanted to make sure that I understood her. And she was like, no, masculine of center. So for those of us that are here on the panel, as well as our guests, our audiences that have no clue, what is masculine of center?
Right. So masculine of center is a term that was coined by Biko of the Brown Boy Project, right? And so it includes like this spectrum of women and transgender men. It includes the range from tomboy, stud, aggressive, all of those terms that for women that may present like me, or transgender male. So it's that spectrum, right, that has gone unidentified for a long time. And so yeah, it's a term coined by Biko of the Brown Boy Project to address this spectrum, right? And so again, I manage a group at Sister Reach called Boy Talk, where we, within that spectrum, we come together and talk, because me and, say for example, me and a feminine lesbian woman, we may have a lot in common, but how we operate may be totally different, right? I may be a more aggressive leader of the household type person, and that's just one example, right? Because I'm a person that really believes in balance in both. So I may be a more aggressive leader of the household, empty the trash can type of person. She may not be, but so the way that we operate within that relationship are two different dynamics. And so within this group in Boy Talk, we talk about how we operate as aggressives, as tomboys, as masculine of center people in the world, right? We talk about domestic violence. We talk about what healthy relationships are. We talk about COVID-19, like your normal topics. We just talk about those things in the way that we handle them, in the way that we understand them. There are different experiences that gay males have. I may have no idea, right? I can identify with being a gay male and the experiences as far as healthy relationships or domestic violence or their response to COVID-19 and the different issues that they may be presented with. I can identify with those things as struggles or topics, but I can't identify with the way those people exist in their circle or as a person. And so again, Boy Talk is a program where we discuss these things as transgender males, as gender nonconforming people, as tomboys or masculine presenting, right? I don't look like the most feminine woman walking around right now, even on this live. And so those who identify it as I do, right? That's basically what the easy version of what masculine of center is.
But we thank you so much for helping us to understand. And I'm still gonna have to go back and do my own little digging.
Okay, hello, Google.
We all still.
I encourage it.
I try to
we all want a voice, right? We all want a voice within the spectrum. We all want a voice, and so masculine of center within Boy Talk is where we have that voice.
Okay. Well, Boy Talk, that sounds interesting to say the least. And I want to to one of our viewers, Ladon Lopez, and this is what he said to something we were discussing earlier. And it's interesting. And I want to know how you all feel about this. He says gay men and lesbians should procreate and mutually raise children together, not necessarily marry, and live their love relationship alongside of parenting. Do you think that confuses the masses?
I don't think it confuses the masses. I think you have to be attractive to do that. If I'm not, is he saying naturally procreation?
He did not specify.
Because I can honestly say for me, I have never been attracted to a woman. Tried it, love women to death. I think they are some of the most beautiful things God placed on this earth. But as far as wanting to be with them, that's never been my desire. And like I said,
what about sharing?
I don't want children. I've never wanted children.
So
okay.
For me,
okay.
I would say I don't feel that I should have to, but if that was a possibility where I could have, let's say I a gay male, had a husband, and we had really good friends that were also lesbians or in that world, and we wanted to have a family, and we were able to figure a way out for us to, I'm not gonna have sex with them, I'm gonna just go ahead and be honest, but if we were able to figure out a way for her to get pregnant or for me to get pregnant, then—
Wait a minute. You to get pregnant.
But no, on a serious but no, seriously, if that was a possibility and I knew that we all were responsible people, that's 4 incomes. And if we all were able to raise this child and build our own safe community, I would feel comfortable with sharing my child with someone who I trust and I know to be true. Because at the end of the day, they might be the godparents anyway. So why not be able to establish—
You just said something. And you know, this is just the little stickler part of me. You said, yeah, we can do this and we can share it in our community. Well, we can't have our own community and not want it to be outside of normal. Just to go back to the very, very beginning.
Oh, so you won't play them games?
No. I'm just coming. I need us to understand because, again, remember, there are going to be people that are going, trust me, they're going to nitpick everything that we have said, you know, and it's not necessarily for the bad. Sometimes they just really do try to find a way to understand. And so when you said we can do this and it's within our own community, that is separating from the AKA normal, right? Which presents all community. Within
meaning like in regards to a safe space, because I wouldn't want, like, as a parent, I'm gonna always want to protect my child.
But what is a safe space? What is a safe space? There are safe spaces in LGBT communities. There are safe spaces in the heterosexual community. So that's why when you made that statement, right? But he answered, he responded, and he said, you don't necessarily have to have sex. You can have sex with them or you can choose not to have sex with them. But Vic, I got your answer. You don't really want no kids anyway. Sam Priest, I heard you as well. What about you, Elise? Well, wait, not you, Elise, because your story is a little bit different. So I already know. I'm gonna put you on pause just for a second. Tasha, what about you?
Well, for me, I mean, I unfortunately I would not be the carrier of the baby, but you know, if my partner or whoever I'm, you know, eventually married, whatever it may be, I think it'll be healthy if, first and foremost, I was reading his comment. He stated not having sexually. So, I mean, I would be fine with it if it was not, you know, in that manner. I mean, you definitely want to make sure that you have some good guidance, especially like dealing with like like boys and things of nature. They need to have, you know, a male figure or what may be, you know, around. And I think that is very important in the young child's growth.
Okay. Now, Elise, I'm gonna change it up just a hair because you all, she is an activist, she is an author, she is a preacher, she is a teacher, she is an evangelist. This lady, and she's a mom. So it's a little different because you already are with child, right? So what does that look like for you?
If I solely wasn't indoctrinated, I probably wouldn't have had my son because I would have never been with a man. But because that was something that I chose to do at that time because of my teachings, then I do have a son. What I do want to lift up, and I don't want to mention their name because, of course, I didn't know this question was coming. I don't have permission to use their name. There's an amazing couple in Atlanta who has who have a son, right? I think he's probably 2 or 3 about now. And they had the baby with a gay male, and their family dynamic is beautiful. It's beautiful. And so I think for those who choose to do that, it can be beautiful. It can be great, you know, whether society thinks it's normal or not. Like, that was their choice. You know, they're all mature adults. They all made an adult decision. Everybody involved were consenting adults. And so, yes, I think it's possible when people want that. But if I don't want kids, gay or straight, don't come over here. I don't, you know.
And you know what? That's the thing.
It's a no, it's not happening. I mean, it can't happen at this point, but it's not happening even if it could, because that's not my attraction, right? I know now that I have the right to choose. I have a choice. My body is my own, right? I do have autonomy and I'm self-determining. And so, yeah, it wouldn't be a thing for me now. I did have a gay male friend who asked me to carry a baby for him. And actually, we were going to have sex. Let me be clear about that. We were going to have sex, but I thought about it, in all honesty, because he's a friend and I love him as a friend and he wanted to be a parent so bad. And I wanted, you know what I'm saying, I wanted him to have that, but I just realized I couldn't be the person who's going to deliver that. I had already had my son. I wasn't really willing to go through that again. So yeah. I think
I see you, but let me get to Victor, because I know he was trying to get in there, and then I'll come right back to you. Victor?
Yeah, I've never had the desire to have kids, and I'm actually ridiculed for that, because I've been told I was selfish, that I was robbing someone. And in the conversation with my aunt about my dad not liking me being gay, although he knew and said he was fine with it, that was one of the points that she brought out, was that he said, you're not going to carry on the Carrington name. There's not going to be someone to carry on the Carrington name. And I said, I got plenty of cousins, male cousins, they got kids, and it's going to happen. And I almost understood what he was coming from, is saying that he, having one son, not going to have any grandkids by me. And it's just never been something that I wanted to do. And I don't think being gay had anything to do with it. I think it just came down to what I wanted and what fit my life. And the way that I am in life, children would be an attachment. And maybe I would have to change when the child got here, but it's just not something I would totally want to do. I have a lesbian friend who's married in North Carolina, and we've known each other for 16 years now. And she has said from the moment she met me that if she ever had a child, she wanted it to be with me. Even to this day, she wants me to give her my sperm. And even though I know they would raise the child, but then I would feel bad not having anything to do with the child, knowing that you are so close. It's just not something that I want. I think the only way I would ever want a child is if I came into a lot of millions and I needed an heir. Honest, and I needed an heir. That would be the only way I would probably consider having a child.
Wow. Sam Priest?
So I have a question, because every time I mention safe space, it seems like it plucks a nerve with you. But when I talk about safe space, for me, how I was brought up, my safe space was always my family, which was my mom, my dad, my sister, and my brother. So when I do make the statement of, if I were to have a relationship if I'm married with a husband and I have friends that are lesbian and we all come to an agreement to have children, me as a person of protection who is born protected by my immediate family, when I say safe space, I mean protect my children, because I'm not responsible for the world, but I'm responsible for what I bring into this world or help bring into this world. So when I say safe space, I'm going to always want my child to be in a safe space. And yes, there are safe spaces within the LGBT community, which goes back to what Elise said. She knows a wonderful couple that has children, but that child is safe because of the community that supports that situation. And that's the same thing with us living a Black life. We're not safe everywhere we go, but there are safe spaces for us. So I guess that was something that I wanted to address. I do believe in safe spaces and believe in creating them, even if I'm the one that has to take charge of that safe space. I call my apartment the healing hut, because when you walk in here, you may be sad, but it's the responsibility of my energy that I put in this atmosphere. I pray over my space. I speak life into my atmosphere so that when you leave, you feel 10 times better than what you did when you came in here. And that's not something that I have to force to do. It's because I took responsibility of my safe space, that energy bleeds over into your own life. So I guess I just wanted to attack why safe spaces are important to me.
Okay.
So that's all.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, and I'm glad you did bring that back up, because as I said, I would announce this throughout the show is the fact that this is what I do. Even in journalism, in anything, when I asked and extended the invitation, and this is for future panelists, people that are watching, if you accept the invitation, I'm going to hit you with the questions, and they're going to be hard. They're going to be uncomfortable questions because I don't send out pre-screeners. When you come here, it's to give the viewers, as well as myself, and I stay true and authentic at all times because we want to know how you feel, your thoughts, your perceptions, you know, even if it comes in through your professional job and or other. So even with that, I'm never going to be offended by your response. I am never going to be offended by a question that is posed, my thought process, even here, because what I don't do, even though I ask the questions, I am also a reciprocal host. And if there is a question that comes my way, I will do my best to answer that question. But I do also enter with the mentality that says, whatever the question is, if I ask the question, I'm expecting you to deliver an honest answer at all times. I will always be prepared for your answer. And the same thing is reciprocal for me. Whatever the question is, if you ask me a question, I need you to also be prepared for the answer that I'm going to give you. Again, you don't always have to agree with what it is that I say. And what it is, I don't think that it's a matter of me getting offended. It's the fact that I be trying to catch you right there, because before you move too far along in it, because even then when I read the comments, you know, as all of us are reading the comments, you know, collectively, I try to make sure, again, this is an interactive form. I want every form that I do to be interactive. And what I'm doing right now is also for all of us, because Victor is an author. Tasha is a entrepreneur. Elise does a lot. You are a vocal actor in theater and all of that. So guess what? When you, let's just say Victor just mentioned the $1 million and all of that. If that happens, can you imagine what the press is going to look like? And we have to be built and strengthened, right? In what's going to come our way. I'm an amateur. Listen, but I celebrate, you know, who I am in doing this, because there are professors and teachers and everything else that encourage me and push me into this platform. So I say to you in particular, I never want you to feel like you are under attack, because I am not here to attack you, or I don't want you to think that I'm getting an attitude. The way you see me talking now is how, if you go back and look at that last panel we did called Living Trans, man, I got some messages behind that panel. No, hear me out say praise. It's okay. This is not an attack. This is a collective set of minds voicing opinions. But I do want to make sure, because one word has the ability to change the whole dynamic, to change the whole structure of a story, right? So your safe space, when you mention that, the safe space says, earlier when we were talking, we said we should strip away all these identity markers. But when we were talking in general about children and embracing the children in our community, the question was presented from the comment that came from the gays or straights, or the gay men and the lesbian women coming together to procreate, right? Which speaks to that specific genre or community. And you came in and spoke about the safe space. So that's why I made the statement in the comment, which again, I wanted you to absolutely come back and tell me and express to me how you feel, because that's what this is all about. I glean all the same from everyone on this panel. If that makes sense.
No, makes perfect sense. I know my mouth. I love giving feedback or explaining myself, especially with certain things. It doesn't mean that I'm offended. I just like to give a good, I like to break things down and explain where I've come from, because not everyone sees your vision the same way that you may speak it. So sometimes it takes a little bit of elaboration. So yes, that's what I'm here to do. I'm going to elaborate if I need to, and I know when to shut up when I don't, when I have nothing else to say. Okay.
Okay, well, we good. So listen, I think I can say this on behalf of everybody. None of us are offended by what you have said at all. None of us are offended.
Listen, we learned early on in the gay community, if you don't have a thick skin, you best buy one.
Okay.
There's too many other things going on in the world to be offended about safe space. That's your truth. You can't get offended about your truth.
Yes. Live, I mean, I have a motto, live in the true authenticity of who you are, because you don't never have to live in nobody else's truth. Stand in what you believe in. You know, it's all about that place of authenticity. Even now, if you read the comments, you know, people are chiming in about that. Being true. I live, my hashtag is always true authenticity, because it is very important, you know, to everybody. There are things that you have said that have resonated with people. There are things that Elise has said, and Tasha as well as Vic, that have resonated with people. And trust me, they're going to go back and look at it, because it's stuff that we, you know is relatable, you know. So continue, yes, to stand in your truth. I appreciate you. And what I'm going to ask you, starting out, since it's you and I, look, he said, oh Lord, already, is I want to know, do you find it easier to relate to heterosexuals or the LGBT community?
So honestly, I pay attention to people's energies. So, because I've met a lot of heterosexual people that make me extremely comfortable, that's male and female, because they're comfortable within themselves. So they present a type of energy that makes it comfortable all around. And for me, I picked this up from my dad, we're charming. We know how to sit with anyone and make sure that they feel comfortable, as well as because I'm gonna always be comfortable in Martavius. So me feeling confident and comfortable within myself, that's gonna bleed over to whoever's around me. And if you are uncomfortable, that's on you. That's something that you have to work on. So I can't change your comfortability. I can be respectful, I can be understanding, but me being respectful and understanding does not mean that I have to conform to make you feel extremely comfortable and confident with who you're conversing with. So I find it easy to talk to whoever makes it easy for me to talk to.
Excellent. I respect that. Tasha, is it easier for you to relate to the AKA straight people or the gay people?
I can relate to any and everybody. I mean, I have people that come up to me out of nowhere on the street that just come and talk to me half of the time. So, I mean, I'm pretty open and in relating to individuals. I mean, somebody may have an issue or problem that I may have had, you know, at the same time. And I've never had an issue with including everybody. I just, you know, in conversation, because at the end of the day, you know, it's not really about a lot of stuff that we make it about at the end of the day. But I don't have any problems. I think, you know, if people become uncomfortable, there's something that they need to look with inside themselves that needs to be exposed and handled. Because sometimes you could be, you know, you make that person uncomfortable because there's something that needs to come be uprooted and dealt with. And so you got to understand, you can't dumb down yourself. I've had people, no, I wouldn't say that I had people, you know, shy away from me. Cause like I said, I'm pretty, just people on the street, they'll just come up to me. But, you know, some people that may not want to deal with me because of who I love, that's their own issue and problem. I'm okay with who I am. And as long as, you know, I'm okay with who I am, then I'm going to be a resource, be an opening ear, be able to relate to people regardless of who they love, the color, creed, skin, whatever.
Okay, Victor, same question.
I think it's a balance, but I will say, and you and I discussed this when we met years ago, I didn't start affiliating with gay men until probably 2007, 2008. And that was because of who I was, trying to please everyone else, knowing that everybody hated it, you know, and didn't like it. And I didn't want to add fuel to that fire. I will say, if I had to choose, it would be heterosexual Black men I shy the most away from. And that is because a lot of their insecurities. a classic hotspot for that behavior is a barbershop. You know, I walk in a barbershop. I am typically not the most masculine man, and once this mouth opens and this purse fall out, they kind of, you know, so, you know, it's one of those places that causes people to like, you know, and as what Natasha said, those are issues that they have, not with me. But with straight women, I typically have better rapport with. The gays, I choose some of the gay men and some that I don't because they just messy.
Messy church queens.
They are messy. And I said this last night in a conversation that in the Black gay male community, we have become so pretentious and superficial until it is mind-blowing. When I came out when I was 19, I hung around older gays that were double my age, and they just wanted someone to be with because they were fighting this fight together. Now that we have more acceptance, everybody is just so open and fluid, and you know, no one wants to build relationships. They just want to do whatever, and they apply this pressure on you of how you're supposed to look, your body image, what you wear. That is why when there's a big event, the gays, they go and they crafting and they buying stuff, keeping the tags on it because they got to take it back because, you know, there's an image that they put out there. And I think that's ruined a lot. So for me, being around that type of toxic behavior is just tough for me.
Please let me tag team.
Elise, I'm gonna come back to you, Sam Priest. Elise, is it easier for you to relate to gay people or to straight people?
Ironically, I'm able to talk and communicate with anybody, right? It doesn't matter. But the irony there is the answer that Vic gave. I despise, let me put it that way, being in atmospheres where there's toxic masculinity, right? Whether it's a gathering at a friend's house or anyway, like that is the only environment that I will most times, if there's not a conversation where we're talking about these things, that is probably the only environment that I really don't like being in. And so, yeah, it doesn't matter, gay, straight, whatever, you know, but yeah, I get along with everybody pretty much, or I can talk to anybody.
Okay, and then my truth, let me do say, because, you know, I don't indulge. I'm somewhat of an introvert, and most people don't believe that I have a tendency to be a lot quiet and observant. But for me, in my experience, right, personally, I related to straight people 10 times more than I did to those that were in our own community. And at that time, even as I, you know, matured, for me, it didn't have anything to do with gay people at that appointed time, because I wasn't a part of that community, if you will. As Vic said, you know, he and I grew, and we know the same place. You know, it's not like there was a place where we can go and fellowship and get to know and all that stuff. And part of me, I'm glad, you know, because yes, to your point, Sam Priest, there are a lot of people outside of the church that are gay and messy. But by that same token, there are a lot of people outside of the church that are straight and messy, right? There's a accumulation of people that are just messy in general. But as I grew, right, and as I started to hang around those that are in our LGBT community, if you will, when I moved to Richmond, Virginia, my eyes was open to a whole horse of a different color, right? And while this next thing that I'm about to say will piss off some people, I do want us to understand that I am not saying everyone, but I am speaking generally based off of the vernacular that I've seen, right? I've seen a lot of people, as Vic said, you know, you walk around in your red bottoms, you walk around in your Louis Vuitton, you walk around in your Gucci, you walk around in your Fendi, your Coach, all these other names that for the most part, a lot of us can't even pronounce those names correctly, right? But the image that the thought pattern is when you look at it, they still got tags tucked on the inside of their shirt because they've stolen it. You are crafty, right? You're not working. You're dependent on the next person to pick up the slack. So having said that, and again, that's not with everyone. And yes, ma'am, yes, sirs, all my people, I understand it affects everyone, whether you are gay and or straight. But because we are talking about the image of gay, I'm making it relevant to gay, to the LGBTQ plus community. What does that say to you all? How important is it to look the part? How important is it? They say the laws of attraction, but while I do agree with that perspective, there are things that we bring into our own space of attraction. Do you try to keep up with the Jones, or do you know people in your circle that try to keep up with you? I'm going to start with Victor, but before I go into that, when I set this up to every viewer, I am a believer in punctuality. I extended the time to 2:30, so anybody that's on this panel that needs to leave, please know that I thank you for your time, and I thank you for all that you are doing. And viewers tend to come in because they have other things going on. But I respect the fact that you all honored me and graced me with your presence here. So I set it up to end at 2:30, but again, if you have to leave, I respect that. Having said that, Victor, are there people that try to keep up with the Love Jones, AKA the Love Jones, this image? And what do you think it looks like?
Of course they do. All you gotta do is go to a bar, or go to a club, or go to a gay event. I myself, to answer your question, I will say that I have gotten trapped into it where you don't want to be seen in the same thing, taking photographs for social media. You try to have a weight, look, because, the Black gay men, no facts, no films, no this, no that, so I will say I have succumbed to those, and because it bothers me when I hear that, but then I have to remember that's not within me, that's within them. That's something that they have to deal with. But here I am still out here walking 12 miles a day, trying to stay this image that is probably not going to get them anyway.
Wow. Elise.
I don't have any people in my circle that fit that description. I do see it within our community. A lot of our experiences, though, I must come from this lens. White supremacy and capitalism has a way of making us feel like we have to posture to look like we're successful. Gay people we have to work, LGBT plus people, we have to work 10 times harder, right? For us that do, let's say that we have to work 10 times harder to make the money that it takes so nobody will have what we wear, who we are, our future in their hands, right? And so I think, from my perspective, again, I think, first of all, white supremacy and capitalism is the reason that happens, because it makes, for years in society, when you have things that make you look like you've arrived. But in our community, it also, as far as LGBT people are concerned, if we can't have anything else, right, at least let us show up dressed nice. Most of us are creatives, right? And so in our creations, we created a lot of these labels that we are now starting to be able to afford. I mean, for folks who run in the store and do smash and grabs, I used to be like Vincent, so I know that.
Sorry.
I used to have to chase some of them in the store, but for us who do work for what we have, right? For those who can afford it, let me say that. Those who can afford it, do your thing. I mean, let me tell you, I love seeing I hate to sound like the rest of society, but I love to see fabulous, beautiful gay men doing their thing. Like, I love it. I love to see LGBT people all together doing our thing, because only we know the suffering that for some of us, it took for us to get where we are. And so I don't mind at all seeing the image of success. Would I would admonish those who may be doing those smash and grabs to stop doing that, first of all, because yeah, you're gonna get caught eventually. But outside of that, is to find your true self and find what your niche is, your thing is, and start making money off of that, and you know, and moving forward, Gucci and Prada and whatever else these folk wear. Because I'm not into labels, right? I've never cared about it. Give me a t-shirt and jogging pants. I got on t-shirt, jogging pants right now. Give me that and I'm good. You know, unless I have to go into an environment where I have to dress up, and most times it's gonna be a black suit because it's black, blue. Yeah, I'm in the South. I'm traditional, but yeah, again, I love to see people dressing, even if it's labels. Do your thing. Like, yeah, I think it's too much going on. If that's what a person needs to feel like they've arrived, or if they can afford it and that's what they have access to, hey, I love it.
Elise, I totally agree with you. My issue is the pretentiousness that comes with that. That's my thing, because I have some very wealthy friends that live real high on the hog, and they Neiman's down the entire way. And I get it. You know, I don't live at that level, but I carry my own. But it's just the whole, I got this, you don't have this, you know, I'm this, I'm that, knowing that you're really not really about that life. That's the issue that I have with the Black gay male community, is that there's so much pretentious behavior where they're gonna dog you out because you may not have this particular thing, or you, oh, did you really take a picture with that? And you just took a picture with that last month, you know? So it's that just sends me crazy.
Yeah, I think that's a different thing, though. I think that's character, right? I think that's character, and so that speaks to a different thing. And be clear, we have that personality across the spectrum of LGBT, right? There's somebody within this spectrum of what's inclusive of LGBT plus people who do identify with being pretentious and, you know, and leaves a lot to be desired in terms of character. So yeah, I think I totally feel you. I've seen it, you know, and that's definitely something. I don't hang out with groups of gay men. I have gay male friends that, you know, that I adore. And so you can speak to that, right, better than I can because of your experiences with them, right? But like I said, I'm sure it exists in masculine of center women. You know, I cannot be in an environment with a person that I know is pretentious. Like, I can't. It's hard for me to do that.
Right. But see, that brings me to this, to you two, Tasha and Sam Priest. I see your finger, but I know if I don't call on Tasha specifically, she won't necessarily chime on up in here. And I'm not gonna let her skate away, you know what I'm saying, as easy. It brings me to this, sticking with that whole image and the perception, right, of ownership and property value and such, right? We have another guest through Facebook. He says, I recently had someone within our community tell me I'm under them because I drive a Honda and wear regular clothes. And he said, I simply asked them the question of what's regular clothes. And then he further says, you know, the real question also becomes, what can we as a community do to help deter this behavior or thought process, you know, to that? So that speaks to property, that speaks to character, that speaks to morals, that speaks to integrity. But again, it all speaks to this image, if you will, that we have created in our community. And to LaDon's point through his comment of being at the forefront. Are we really at the forefront of it, or are we sitting in the back on the sidelines? Are we really actively participating in this, or are we not? Tasha, I'm gonna get you Sam Priest to answer following her. Tasha.
Well, for that comment, obviously that individual does not know that their value is much more greater than anything they can put on their back or carry. Then they have devalued themselves. These things that we purchase depreciate. So, you know what I'm saying? it really, because of lack of knowing really who we are, and it depends on what image they're focusing on. The image, like imagery, things that are outside, what are they focusing on? And so we can fall into these traps and measuring ourselves based on what somebody else has. We don't know what they had to go through to get to where they are. And I wear regular clothes. I don't have Gucci this and I don't have all that stuff, because that is not success to me. Success is changing lives around me, people that are connected to me. You seeing them do better and coming into themselves and embracing all of who they are, regardless of who they love. That's success to me, and them actually living their best life beyond restrictions. So when people clamp down and say, oh, you're not successful, you're beneath me, then they're really they are truly saying that what they possess is much more valuable what they possess on the outside is much more valuable than what they possess on the inside. And they don't know who they are.
Well, a lot of people certainly feel that way. I know people will go ham over their car. People go absolutely crazy over their house. You know what I mean? And it is all materialistic. So Sam Priest, to his point, I drive a Honda, right? I drive a 1990 Honda. I don't, but I'm just going here. I drive a 1990 Honda, right? And it capitalizes on the gas, unleaded. See, while you driving this big gas guzzler, you know what I'm saying? It looks good. You drive a Mercedes. You drive a Bentley. You got a nice, beautiful car on the outside, right? But you say to me, you tell this person, well, you're beneath. In a moment, let's just say that was you that told this person that, right? And if you sat back and had to realize that you made a statement like that, what would your statement be to a person that you wanted to know, I'm sorry about what I said? How would you make this person feel better?
I'm sorry, I don't think I can answer that question because that's not something that I can see myself doing. I can't even put myself in that position to make myself feel like I'm better than anybody. People, and I can say this for myself to kind of tie in everything. A lot of people look at me and just think, oh, well, you got this, or I work hard. My dad installed in me, you got to work for what it is that you want. I drive a Honda Civic, and I love the hell out of my Honda Civic. And I don't need a fancy ass car to feel like I'm important. I'm important because I wake up and I value myself. And the thing that I take pride in the most is not what I have, it's what I produce. And that I have good energy. I love on people unconditionally. Like I can love on you in a way where it makes you feel good. That's the thing that I take pride in, because that's me. I could be butt ass naked in the middle of the street with no car, but I will have my personality at the end of the day. And that's the thing that's going to take me further than me driving this nice ass car, or me I piece stuff together that may cost like $10 and you be like, dang, that look good. $10, boo. And I will say that without feeling like any shame, because I'm not waking up every day to impress you. I wake up every day to impress myself. So the minute that I step outside of myself to try to impress you, I therefore lose who Martavius is, because now I'm building my image off of how you feel about me. And that's what the issue is. You gotta learn to wake up every day to build an image for yourself so that you can look in the mirror and say, I like what I see. And the minute that, because that's a part of self-love. And the minute that you realize that, yeah, I love myself, I love what I have to present, there's nothing that anybody in this entire world can say to you that's going to destroy you. It may hurt your feelings, but it won't break you. And that's the thing, that's the mentality that a lot of people have to realize. Like, I need to wake up every day loving myself and loving what I produce. That way nothing else can affect the direction that I'm going to go.
Well, I'm chiming here on this because I am guilty of this because of my mom. And
wait. You said, excuse me, you're guilty of what in particular?
I'm guilty of, I used to be guilty of making people feel bad over material things because the way I was raised. My mother put me in the life of crime of boosting. As Elise said, I wasn't a smash and grab, but you know, I had my own craft. I was getting it. But and I was bad at the game. And the way she raised me was in her image of, if they don't have it, they're less than you. My mother would humiliate anybody who didn't have what she had. Now, she was successful for the area that she was in Halifax. She was very successful, lived well, really nice middle class. But then I added to that based on what she taught me how to do, which elevated her to higher heights. And that's how she had me thinking that this is how you behave, because she had me, I was her mini-me. She had me feeling that this is what I was supposed to do. So even now, me and my friends, we joke about, you know, hey, Ray, you know, you've been around Greg and me, we joke about labels and stuff, but that's not how we really are. Because, I mean, I feel like people always say I'm bougie, and I am, but I buy that. That's not something I rely on other people to do for me. And I don't rub it in their faces, but I was raised that way. And then when the hustle broke, that mentality broke. So I totally get, you know, that, and when looking back on it, I was thinking, God, even though I was a child, I was like, I was out of order. I was so out of order because, yeah, my mom was definitely a piece of work.
Wow. Elise, I want to know from you, right? What has success cost you as a woman, or a woman within the LGBTQ plus community? And I want all of you all to answer that, because I believe, and this is why I tell the viewers, I don't send out pre-screeners at all. I believe we all have something that has either helped us or held us down. And for some of us, it might still be something that is holding us down. So I want to know, what is it that has either helped you or held you down within the LGBT community that you are okay to talk about?
What has success cost me? You know, the image of success, or the actualization of success, I have not arrived at yet. Where I am, though, has cost me everything, including at one point in my life, living in the Sheraton garage in Atlanta for about a month or so. I was homeless, right? I left Memphis when I was young. This was back in 2005. To pursue music in Atlanta, but I had a job. Let me say that. I had a job with the state of Georgia, and in my personal relationship at that time, I ended up without anywhere to stay. Not really for any other reason except trust issues on the other person. So I want to be clear about that. But at that time, I went. I thought it was. And so it cost me everything then. And ironically, along the way, the different things that I pursued, because of the integrity I've tried to exude, and the character that I've tried to have, because, you know, my experience as a child was my mom teaching us and being adamant about not upholding us in our wrong and holding us accountable for how we treated people. And so, excuse me, a lot of times, even in my professional life, when I exuded that integrity, it got me in trouble, right? As a supervisor right here in the state of Tennessee, it got me in trouble, right? Trying to do good and speak up for people. Hey, so, you know, some people, I guess, assume that I was going, you know, in the situations I was put in, sometimes there was this assumption that because of the title that I wore as a supervisor, as a manager, that I was more concerned about my things than I was my character or my integrity or the livelihood and jobs of other people. So in standing up for people, that cost me everything, right? And so along the way, success has caused me everything to get to where I am right now, even in my relationships, right? Even in my ministry, right? Even in opening this church as a Black male leader, pastor in the South, it has caused me friendships that I hadn't even lost, which is coming out as gay. But to them, it's like, oh, now you're going too far. They ain't trying to be a gay pastor. Like, that's too much. Being gay is one thing. Then you talking about getting married. Now you talking about being like loss after loss after loss after loss, to the point where this right here, I ran from because I was like, now God, you can ask me to do anything. Don't ask me to do that, because I didn't want to take another loss. And so if I was to say that where I am in my life at this point is successful, it cost me everything. It cost me everything. People.
So me being gay was not always easy. One of the things I can present is that outside of my loving family, I fought daily, not just like physically fighting. I did have to beat a little ass along the way, but that's okay. But I literally had to fight myself to become comfortable with what the lifestyle that I'm choosing to like embrace. Not because again, I don't feel like it's a choice, but you still have the responsibility to embrace and become comfortable in what it is that you're living. And once I decided to become comfortable and realize that this is who I am, this is a part of me, then the next challenge was, how do I move through life comfortably and remain safe? Or how do I move through life comfortably without feeling like, okay, I can't do this because I'm gay? And so I fought daily. I showed people that just because I am gay, that I can still do what it is that I need to have done. So that me being gay strengthened me. It helped me develop my own stable mentality where nothing can shake me. And then there was another situation when in 2011, I was raped and I'm in college. And I remember calling my mom and telling her what happened, and we cried about it. And she said, now what are you going to do? And I said, what do you mean? She said, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit and let this break you? Or are you going to keep fighting? And are you going to use this as a stepping stool? And I said, well, I'm not going to sit here and wallow in this, because God has so much greatness for me. And if I allow this situation to stop me now, I'm not going to see what it is that I'm going to get. And I'm still fighting for it, because I know that there's something great that is about to happen in my life. But had I given up a long time ago, I would not have gotten my bachelor's. I would not have gotten my master's. I would not have gotten to live in these different states. But that's because I chose to fight. And so the one thing I could say, it wasn't all good, but the end product was always beautiful, if that makes sense.
Thank you. That was well said. Tasha.
Well, for me, it cost me it cost me the box. The box that I put myself in, because I didn't think, because of who I was, I couldn't be where I am. And I'm still evolving. I've not reached, where I'm striving, I'm thriving to get there. I'm not striving, I'm thriving to get there. But I've lost some friendships. I've also lost some actual relationships when I even said yes to ministry. Because, me being who I am, and then, some people look at it, that is like, you're a pastor, you're doing ministry, and they're saying this and they're saying that. I can't get caught up in those particular things, understanding I'm here for a reason and a purpose. I'm here on a mission. I can't get caught up, what people want me to be. And then, it did also cost me. I moved here. I don't know. I know I've told I told my testimony a couple times, but I moved here, sold everything that I had to find myself, because I pretty much I was trying to be what everybody else wanted me to be, because I wasn't who I needed to be because of, I grew up in a home, which I have loving parents. I love them. I have great siblings. But I grew up in a household that, of course we went to church every Sunday. My mother is an evangelist. So, and my father's a deacon. And so I've lived, in that structured household. It helped me be a responsible individual and things of that nature. But I needed to find out who I was because I couldn't find it where I couldn't find it in the nest. And so moving here, selling all that I had to get to a place and finally accepting who I am. As well as my purpose and reason in life. I mean, because it all came to play of why I'm created for, why I'm like this, why am I like this? And it's bigger than just, saying, okay, I'm same-gender loving and that's that. No, it's a reason and a purpose for me being this way. And so accepting all of that, even with my working and all that, and being in leadership roles, I accept all of that and be the best person that I can be, despite all the other things I've lost. And it has helped me grow. If I did not lose that, I probably would be buried. I would probably stay a seed, and then it's helped me blossom. And so I mean, it's okay. It's necessary. It was necessary for me to lose to actually gain. I've gained more confidence about myself. I've gained greater insight on certain things. I gained understanding of the reason of my creation, why I'm created. And I just gained a lot of insight since I've been here. And I'm so grateful to God that I did, because if I didn't, I would have died. I would have died spiritually, mentally, emotionally. I would have died because I wasn't being who I needed to be. And I understand that comes with a cost. So that is my story.
Well, last but not least, Victor, the author, just when you thought you knew me, right? The highs and lows in the life of Victor L. Carrington, Amazon, all that good stuff, right? You get to get all these good photos, all the good juicy details about his life, some of the most intimate parts of his life. And even in his book, it says the highs, right, and the lows. That means the good along with the bad. There was a song that says, how can I learn to appreciate the good without having the bad? So Victor, I asked the same thing of you. What is it about the gay life, your life, in this who you are, right, that has helped you and or that has caused you damage?
True. Well, as spoken on earlier, the relationship with my dad, that, and we had been in contact with each other for about 8 years before, this happened. And it was a great 8 years because it put me back in touch with my dad's side of the family, my grandmother, my aunts and cousins in the city that I hadn't seen since I was 7. So that was a great loss. But then when the book came out, I was working for an amazing company, had a great position, and they were fine with the book until I went on TV. The moment I went on TV, because my publicist had me, I did a 6-stage, 17-city book tour, and I was on the likes of NBC, CBS, iHeartRadio, etc. And the moment I went on TV, they lost their minds. So as a result, they kind of paid me to leave because they said I was getting too much attention. So I lost that, lost some people in life who felt like, oh, now you've done this, you think you better than I am. And it wasn't that, it was just that, be happy for me, be happy for my success. but it happened to be a situation with a couple of people where they, you know, I guess that maybe they thought I was supposed to stay in this box where I was at. And because I was excelling, they didn't like it. A couple have come back around and we've mended fences. But I think with everything, as with Natasha, you know, you take the good with the bad and you take those bad experiences and you build upon them and you grow from them. And without the bad, I tell people this, had I not gone to prison, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I say that because I learned more in prison than I did with either degree that I earned. You deal with so many different personalities and so many different perspectives. You have to pay attention. And even though as bad as it was, being almost gang raped, being in an abusive relationship with a drug kingpin and all of that, being dragged down the boulevard, with all of that happening, as hard as it was to go through those things, I had to take those bad experiences and build upon them to help me become the person that I am today. So no success is going to come without consequence or loss. That's just a fact. And it's what I put into those situations, if I'm going to give them all my energy or if I'm just going to accept it for what it is and move on. And I chose to accept them and move on.
Okay. Now I'm going to put you all on the spot in less than a minute. Sam Priest? In less than a minute, I want to know, what do you say to the young man or the young woman that is struggling with themselves? I'm not even talking about everything else that comes along. What do you say to the young men and women that are struggling with themselves, identify as gay? In less than a minute, Sam Priest.
So what I would say to them, that you will not, and this is just my opinion, I don't feel like you'll be able to function as fully as you want to until you, one, embrace what reality is, and two, learn to love yourself. Because in order to even do anything, you have to learn how to love who you are as a person. Because if you have that base, that foundation, there's nothing that anybody can, again, I keep saying this, but there's nothing that anybody can say to you that's going to break you, because you built your own armor. You literally put that armor on your body every day, and you said you shined your armor, and you nobody can do anything to that armor, because that's something that you built for yourself. And I consider that self-love. I wake up every day and I tell myself, you are handsome. I went through some very traumatic situations where I did not feel attractive. I did not feel loved. But one day something snapped and I said, I'm putting all this love in trying to convince other people that I'm worthy enough to be loved, versus convincing myself that I'm lovable and that I should love myself. So once you establish that own self-love, then it helps better your journey.
Tasha.
You are definitely a unique design for a unique journey. And no one else can be you. Nobody is the same. And so as long as you embrace who you are to totality, with the flaws, everything, embrace the totality of who you are, you will be successful in life, and allow yourself to be open and it's okay. Things are going to happen, but you have what it takes inside of you to continue to move forward. We don't build muscle without something. You can't build muscle without some type of adversity. And you have to be able to keep looking ahead. Don't get caught up in the past too long, because then that'll be the place in which you live. And so just stay focused and stay above. I always say stay above and never beneath in all that you do.
Sister Elise.
I would say, and I always revert to Jeremiah, right? When God spoke to Jeremiah, when Jeremiah was given all of these who I'm not and what I can't do, you know, and God spoke to Jeremiah and said, basically, I know who you are. I knew who I formed. I knew who I handcrafted before you were formed in your mother's womb. And so a lot of what I say, I speak to young people because that's where my battle was in terms of being young and in the church and being gay and not being able to be gay, right? And so again, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans that I have for you, plans of good, plans not to harm you, to prosper you and to give you a future, right? A good future, a great future. I would also say to young people, because I know we went through a couple of years where there were just young people committing suicide back to back. I would say stay your hand. You know, you don't have to harm yourself to be the person who becomes the martyr for the gay community, for people to understand the pain that you're in. Be authentic, be you, live your life, enjoy your life. Yes, there are going to be some joys, there are going to be some pains, but I'm 41 years old and I've come through some insurmountable things or things that seemed insurmountable. But I'm glad I stuck around, as my pastor used to say, to hear the conclusion of the matter. And it's not the end of it yet, right? But I'm glad I stuck around to see what my life this far holds. And it's a beautiful thing. So I would say be authentic, live your truth, be you, and enjoy your life. Those who matter, those who you are matter, right? Those who don't have a problem, those are the people that matter. Those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter, is what I was trying to remember to say. So again, live your life, be you. You know, that's Dr. Seuss, by the way. I like to quote people. You know, so be you, live authentic. I really want to convey to be encouraged in this moment, because I know there are young people who will watch this conversation, and who we all are right now in this moment. It took us some stuff to get here, and you will make it. You will survive. And that's all.
Thank you. Victor.
I just piggybacking on what everyone else say, I would say the most significant thing you can do is be authentic. Be yourself. Don't conform to the molds that society places for you. You have to learn your own path. Relax. Don't take yourself too seriously. Take risks, take chances, and understand that when you fall, as Elise said, you're going to be all right. You get up. You use that as a stepping stone to go further in life. Do not allow other people to tell your story. Oprah said it best when she said, your story, your truth is the most powerful weapon you have. Do not let someone tell your story. Only you can be the author of your life. And be encouraged with that, be strong, and push forward.
Having said that, I want to personally thank each and every guest, Victor, Tasha, Elise, Sam Priest. Thank you all for accepting the invitation. Thank you all for staying true to who you are. Thank you all for providing us with some things, you know, that we can think about. You know, Elise, I saw her taking notes. Tasha, I know you didn't mentally check. Sam Priest, I already know. And Victor, I saw your face, so I already know, you know, what time it is. But I want to say to each and every one of you, it is so humbling to me that you would come on this platform and just talk so that the world can listen. And let me be clear also, so that the world can judge. Because everyone has a thought. Everyone has an opinion. And how we choose to respond to their opinions and or their thoughts, right, is a whole horse of a different color. To the other guests, to our viewers that are on Facebook, for everyone that liked it, for everyone that commented, for everyone that loved it, to everyone that shared this, I want to tell you thank you. I also want to invite you back next week to join me as I have another set of people coming on to talk about Black on Black crimes involved with All Lives Matter, or rather Black Lives Matter. A very important panel that is to be held next Saturday between 12 noon and 2 p.m. Eastern time. I get all those time zones mixed up. That's just my truth right there. You know, somebody say CST and I be like, well, what is CST? And then they say PFC or something. I'm like, well, what is PCF? Look, I done got the letters, you know, y'all know what I'm saying. But whatever it is, East Coast time, you know, follow suit. But it is 12 to noon East Coast time. I am the host. I am your moderator. I appreciate everyone. Even if I did not get to your question, even if I didn't get to your comment, trust and believe. These people have viewed your comments. These people have more than enough reason to comment. You know, continue to submit your comments if you have them. But again, this is my motto as we get ready to leave off with Miss Kelly, Transcendence. Her song says human, but my motto to you says this. If you live in the true authenticity of who you are, you never have to worry about living in someone else's truth, right? Amen. Let the church say amen.
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 I'm only human. We're gonna stay right here with y'all until this song goes off. So jam out with us. Love, like, share, buy the book. Just when you thought you knew me, well, just when you thought you knew him. Victor L. Carrington. Let's make this a big banger, best-selling. Come on. Hey, hey. We got power. We're all human, baby. Come on. We're human. Google Play. Miss Kelly. MISSKELLIE. Come on. Yeah. Only human. Thank you, Facebook. I love you. Peace.